transfer stories now. You know, it's a juicy bit that we all do love. When a team strive to make all the transfers and get players in for the upcoming season, it's so interesting how the teams pull the strings to register and get players into their fold. Let's begin with today's transfer stories or rumors making the rounds on the European front. Begin from Italy and from Napoli. Napoli have a new coach in Antonio Conte and is making plans. Now, Napoli are not changing their plans on Lukaku. After a three-year deal agreed, they then want to proceed as soon as possible to get Lukaku to join Napoli. Now, meanwhile, Victor Osimhen still wants PSG's deal done. As PSG deal is on standby, as PSG won't pay the clause or include Can in Lee in a deal for Napoli's Victor Osimhen. But Osimhen is indeed still waiting for the deal to be done so he can move to Paris Saint-Germain. But if it's not done, since he still wants to stay on at Napoli. But once Napoli are also trying to bring Lukaku in, and if I get a deal with Napoli over Lukaku, it means they must find a way to get Osimhen to move to PSG so they can get Lukaku replacing him at Napoli in the Italian Serie A. Let's move on from that in Italy from Napoli to Manchester, now to United, where they remain in discussions with PSG over their midfielder Manuel Ugarte. Now, after a green light from the player and personal terms were agreed last week, still there's a difference in the valuation between the club, that's PSG, and United. Man U don't want to pay more for the player, but PSG also wants a lot more money for the player Manuel Ugarte. So they are still negotiating over the deal and how to get things done. Meanwhile, Man U, we understand, are also in talks to decide how to proceed on new terms with Fiorentina over their midfielder Sofian Amrabat. Sofian Amrabat, that's a deal involving the teams involved. That's Fiorentina on one side and United, who still want to get a player, but they want to use different terms, not the previous terms that was agreed between the two teams. They want to go with different terms to get Amrabat joining them again for next season's English Premier League. Let's go on from there to Chelsea, and Chelsea have sent a first bid in a region of 20 million euros to Villarreal for goalkeeper Philip Jorgensen. Goalie Philip Jorgensen. Chelsea want him to join their fold. So they've sent their first bid, valued around 20 million euro. It follows talks on the player side. As revealed earlier this week, he's on the list as potential new goalkeeper for the coach of Chelsea, Enzo Maresca. Jorgensen is keen on this move to Chelsea from Villarreal in the Spanish La Liga. Let's still stay a bit with transfers and to Pep Guardiola. That's a big, bold manager, the best in the world actually. Now, Pep has confirmed that he doesn't know the future of his goalkeeper, Ederson Moraes. There's news that Ederson could be leaving City for Saudi Arabia. And today, after the game involving Celtic and City, Pep was asked about Ederson, who was not in goal yesterday for his team. And he said, I want to quote him. He says, I don't know if Ederson will stay or not. He has to make a decision according to the manager, Pep Guardiola. Now, Ederson, we understand, has started a Saudi Pro League move from May, but no agreement fee has been reached between Etihad and City. But City, we understand, want between 50 million euros and 60 million euros. That's the only way they will allow Ederson to move. If Etihad, Saudi, can pay between 50 and 60 million pounds, City will allow the goalkeeper Ederson Moraes to leave City for Saudi Arabia. Let's move on to some news coming from England. Arsenal are also in the news. We understand that Arsenal really want to hijack the deal for Barca-bound Nico Williams. Now, the Spanish international has been, of course, all summer been told that he is inching closer to a move to Barcelona. But we understand today that Arsenal want to move in and sweep for Nico Williams. Now, they also are looking at getting on board Mikel Merino from Sociedad. Two players that Barca actually are going in for, but it looks as though Arsenal want to gazam that deal and go for these two players, Nico Williams and also Mikel Merino, who also plays for Sociedad in the Spanish La Liga, according to the standard in England. To Germany now, and Dortmund. Now, Dortmund and Juventus, along with PSG, are keen on signing English international Jadon Sancho. Two teams, Dortmund want to get him back. Juve want him in the Serie A. And PSG are also lacking. They all want to sign the Man U forward, Jadon Sancho. But what we understand is that they cannot meet Man U's valuation of the player. Man U want, we are told, around £40 million for Jadon Sancho. £40 million for Sancho. But PSG and others are looking at around 25, 30 million pounds for the player. So there's a gap in evaluation, and so we'll see how negotiations go between these teams for Jadon Sancho. Still with United, now they've offered just under some 40 million euros for Netherlands centre-back Matthias de Ligt, but Bayern Munich also wants more because they also want some 50 million euros. The transfer business is very intriguing, very, very intriguing. Man U are offering 40 million euros for the player Matthias de Ligt, but his club Bayern Munich want 50 million. So 10 million difference is what is outstanding. And so we have to see how things pan out. According to Sky Germany, who are the ones supporting this particular move. To Chelsea again. A defender for Chelsea by the name Trevor Chalobah. He was left behind when Chelsea were traveling from England to USA for preseason. It meant that guy had to look for a new team because it's obvious he's not in the plans of the new coach, Enzo Maresca. So Chalobah wants to make a move out of the team. Now, this is that the player was shocked that he was left out of the class preseason tour to the USA, and he is now trying to force a move away from Chelsea Football Club. Still in England, let's go to Kieran Trippier, who plays for Newcastle in the Premier League. Now, we understand that there are interest coming from Saudi Arabia, from some two clubs in Saudi Arabia, for Kieran Trippier, the captain for Newcastle United, the right back who plays for Newcastle United. But of course, we understand that Newcastle say they want to put a player in a team, so they are not looking at selling Kieran Trippier away from Newcastle. So notwithstanding the interest from Saudi Arabia, they can have all the money they want, but they won't sell him. They're keeping the player at Tyneside with Newcastle in the English Premier League. Now to the very last two stories, and Brazil midfielder, stay with Newcastle, Joe Linton says he's happy at Newcastle and believes 26-year-old compatriot Bruno Guimaraes is going to stay at the club despite being linked with moves away from Newcastle. So Joe Linton is saying that it's not only about him. He knows his Brazilian teammate Guimaraes also will stay on at Newcastle and not leave the club. To the last one, and it has to do with, indeed, Brentford and England international. That's Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney, we understand, is prepared to run down his contract if he does not land a big move this summer to move away from Brentford. He will stay and not make a move, according to news we're picking up from England, over Ivan Toney. Big striker there for Brentford in the English Premier League. So transfer news for you on the show today. Of course, we are done.
Don't end the transfer news. I have a question. I don't have Fila, but I have a question.
Okay.
I don't have Fila. I have a question.
Okay.
Barcelona.
Yes.
Question.
I told you, Nico Williams.
Nico Williams says it's not a done deal.
Of course, it's not a done deal. But you don't just get up and say done deal. You must work. You must negotiate.
And so you are negotiating, but
so what you do is that.
But you sure you're going to get Nico Williams?
You have no problem. Barca is getting 2 players this summer.
Yeah.
Nico Williams is one of them. When they're done with Nico Williams, then they look at getting another player.
Yeah.
Because what I know is that Nico Williams is a priority purchase they want to make. Because they want to ensure that the both flanks are solid.
They
have Lamine on one. They want Nico to be on another one. And that's solid attack.
They've always been that pair.
Of course, and they are good friends. So
yeah, they are good
they are
friends.
working to get him on board. Once they get him, any other addition they make will be pretty much a plus because they see the squad has been a bit complete. So no need really to add a lot more players.
You think
to
it's
the squad.
complete?
Oh, it's complete.
But let me ask you.